Hello again. You are listening to Is This Strange? Stories of the Unusual by KL and Roxy. And I'm going to continue the Ouija board theme that we've been talking about in the last couple episodes. And I'm going to tell you my Ouija board story. My Ouija board story spans a couple of years. Now, what is it that you've always called me? I'm an empath.
Mm-hmm.
I see ghosts a lot. Well, and I nowadays I ignore them, but I used to talk to them when I was younger. I'm going to say this was teenage years. So, teenage years, let's face it, we all do stupid shit. Some people go out and climb trees and stuff, fall off of their bikes. Okay, I did that. But, some people go out and do, I don't know, drugs or start smoking. Oh shit, I started smoking too in my teen years. Uh-huh. Either way.
But you've never jumped onto a trampoline made out of barbed wire.
That is very true. And let me point out, neither is she.
No.
This is just something we saw yesterday. Oh boy,
There's
people.
levels of...
Stupid.
Oh yeah, there's some...
So my stupid, I won't say it was stupid because I would do it again in a heartbeat. My teen years involved Ouija boards. I'm sure a lot of people's do. But I could communicate with the Ouija board by myself. Okay. I didn't always need other people. I didn't need more energy or anything else like that. It did start, though, with a friend. I would go over to her house, and she would sometimes have another girl over there that we knew. She was also a friend. Yes, I did have friends. They were also outcasts. And we would pull out the Ouija board, and we would play with the Ouija board. Now, one night, it got insane. I mean, the Ouija board literally was answering questions, of course. And you would take your hand off of it and be like, are you pushing it? No. Are you pushing it? No. Okay, someone's pushing it. The problem is when we took our hands off of it, the little, whatever they called it, the little pointer thing, kept moving. It kept moving on its own.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it kept moving on its own. I am not lying. If anyone knows me, they know I do not lie. I am sometimes too truthful for some people. So, yeah, the little pointer kept moving on its own. When we tried to stop it from moving, the Ouija board started shaking.
It's called a planchette.
A planchette. Oh,
it's
thank
French.
you. Okay. And we're probably not saying that right since it's French. The Ouija board started moving, not just the planchette, or little pointer, as I'm going to call it, in case I'm mispronouncing that. The Ouija board itself started moving. It started shaking around and moving the pointer on its own to words. It would actually shake enough to move the little pointer thing to a word or a letter, and then it would stop shaking. So, needless to say, we put the Ouija board away that night.
I would.
Yeah, we put the Ouija board away. We didn't put the Ouija board outside or any place away from us. Oh, no. We put it under a bed that we were going to be sleeping in because we were having a sleepover.
Yeah, no.
In the middle of the night.
Oh,
don't.
And I didn't sing it, and I wanted to. That's awesome. Okay.
In the middle of the night, the fire alarm.
Did you go walking in your dreams?
No, I was very, very wide awake after that. The fire alarm just started blaring. I mean, it was just so loud. And the problem is, the fire alarm that we were hearing was up in a freaking attic. Now,
why is there a fire alarm in the attic? You can't get to that sucker.
Because it's just where it's supposed to be, I guess, too. You're supposed to have a fire alarm in a lot of spaces in case there's a fire.
Okay.
We have a small house. We have, one fire alarm.
Oh, my. Okay, that's an interesting place to put one.
Okay, yeah, and it is. And this gets more interesting. So, of course, teenagers, stupid, we go running up the stairs. Now, remember, if you remember from my previous one, I was scared to death of an attic in my old home.
Mm-hmm.
Attics are still not really my friend. That's why we have our attic is completely open.
Mm-hmm.
It is not really an attic. It's called a loft.
Yes.
It's an open air loft. So some people would label it as an attic. We labeled it as a loft because you can literally see everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no secrets up there. So we go running up these stairs to the attic.
Mm-hmm.
Find the fire alarm. Problem? But the fire alarm is not plugged in. It is sitting on a table. So I'm like, okay, well, let's take the batteries out of it. Fire alarm had no batteries.
Oh, goody.
It's just going off. It's not plugged into anything. It's not hardwired.
Okay.
And there's no batteries in it.
Okay, so, and remember, this is what, back in the 80s or 90s before they got really fancy? So it's not like a computer.
It was in the 90s.
90s.
It was after I quit high school, but right before I was going to be going off to Meredith Manor.
Okay, so nothing fancy, no high-tech computer.
No, this wasn't like Bluetooth or anything like that. There was nothing like that. I think at that time we were just getting dial-up internet. Mm-hmm. So there was definitely no whole home connection going on. This was analog years.
Yeah.
Actually pre-analog years. So yeah, we run up there and the fire alarm is just going insane. And not, as I said, nothing is hooked up. There's no batteries in it. It's not hardwired into a wall. So we throw it outside. What else can you do? But the problem is as we're running down the stairs, because we started running down the stairs, obviously, with the fire alarm, the door at the bottom of the stairs swung shut on us.
Oh.
Now, I managed to catch it before it shut.
Uh-huh.
It just started to shut on us. And you all might be wondering, where were the parents in this? It was a single mother, and she was a nurse. So, as you heard in Roxy's stories, you know that a lot of times nurses work night
Weird
shifts.
Hours, yeah.
So, needless to say, there was no mother home, and we were all supposed to be the responsible teenagers that got left alone. So, what do? We play with the Ouija board.
But there wouldn't be all these cool stories.
I know.
If we didn't have all these latchkey kids back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s listening to Blue Oyster Cult backward on an
I never did that.
Record.
I never.
Yeah, I did that.
More cowbell.
More cowbell.
Anyway, so we go to throw this outside. So we're running down the stairs with it, and the door started to shut. Well, I made it out. I held the door. I slammed the door with my hand and made it out. And it actually slammed shut still on one of our friends that was left behind. She was the slow gazelle. And we luckily the door wasn't being held shut. It was just being slammed shut as we were coming down. So we opened the door and let her out.
You're nicer than I would have been.
I would have kept going, every man for themselves. But no,
the door shut to see if she'd scream for a few minutes.
No, you wouldn't have. Not in that, because you're still holding this alarm going off in your hand.
Oh yeah, no, that's annoying. Yeah. No.
So we let her out of the stairwell, and she was very shaken up. I mean, she was white. Now the problem, and I'm not trying to be racist here, she was also Indian. Not Native American, but she was Indian. So for her to be super pale was
shocking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lucky her hair didn't go white after that little experience. And somehow we all managed to still try and sleep that night.
Okay.
I don't know what goes on in teenagers' heads that you're like, oh, look, we just had a traumatizing experience. Now let's all go and fall asleep. It didn't happen. We didn't sleep because, needless to say, the hall light, they had a little night light that was activated in the hallway by movement, kept going on and off and on and off all night.
Yeah, but if teenagers just didn't do silly stuff, we wouldn't have an entire slew of horror movies from that time period either that break all the rules.
That was the first time I used a Ouija board with friends. That is not the last time I used a Ouija board, but that will be for later stories. because I didn't learn my lesson. So anyway, thank you for listening to the beginning of my Ouija board stories. And as always, we will talk to you later.
Bye.